Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview, in case I didn't record it earlier, of the requirements for the posters. This is not, and I repeat, not required for spring 2020. However, in future semesters, if you need a quick review and you just want to pull this up and look at it, this will be a good resource for you. So stand by, let me put this into. Okay, so why should you present your findings? I'm going to mute the computer here for a second so she doesn't start talking over me. This is usually given by Dr. Betcher, who's a PhD, who runs the honors program, and she also runs the Discovery Day and URI, or Undergraduate Research Institute lectures that we all give. So our poster presentation in this class, luckily for us, is part of Undergraduate Research Institute. And so what that means for you is if you do a poster and you present it, you have been given a scholarly research presentation that you can use as a citation. You can put it on your resume. You can, if your presentation is good enough, you can be invited to come to the advisory board, the industry advisory board, full of airline pilots and recruiters and everybody that wants to give you a job. So the goal of your poster is just to basically provide an overview of the research project you've been doing all semester. You did an annotated bibliography, you did a paper. This should be easy, at least in my opinion. I may be right, I may be wrong. Who's your audience? So pretend you're talking to me and to Dr. Carlson or to Dr. Holtz or Dr. Merkt. So everybody that you know in the academic side, all the way up through the chancellor. Sometimes when we're doing URI poster presentations, it'll be on study day, and that means a lot of parents and prospective students. Oops, it's playing itself for some reason. A lot of parents and prospective students will come by. Obviously the industry, if you're invited to the industry advisory board, you're going to be dressed up in a suit and tie. You're going to be talking to people that might be interested in hiring you. And then of course the public can come by anytime. Like I said, we opened campus on study day to all prospective students, to community members, other students may be listening to you. So no pressure whatsoever, right? What is your poster? It should stand alone. So if somebody walks up and says, what is this about? They can figure out, based on what you have in your poster, enough detail to see the whole flow from the abstract all the way through what your conclusions are. They can see your research project. Obviously, it should be well enough organized so that when you're standing in front of it, if you turn around and take a look at your bullet points, it's helping you, not hurting you. Whoops. This thing always does this where it progresses itself, and I'm like, stop it. So it's got to have headings. I'll show you lots of examples in just a second. It'll be visually appealing. I'm very picky about visual appeal, so since you have to put this through me, I'm going to have to come up with, it's hard because it's flexible. You can do practically anything, but I'll show you what I like later on with the examples. I put a bunch of them into the slideshow. You got headings and subheadings in approximately 44 points. This is not a hard and fast rule, but anything lower than 44 points for a heading is not going to really show up. Dang it. She has this thing on like a 2-second timer. Use text boxes. I'm a big fan. See this text box right here? How it's rounded on the edges. I like rounded text box. They're less I guess the visual appeal is just a little bit more modern looking to me, softer. Notice this slide that you're looking at here. It's got this cool little shape here. It sort of catches the eye. I like stuff like this. You use white areas. When it comes to printing, it can be a pain in the butt at Embry-Riddle press kit. So I'll tell you that right now. It does indeed have to be 30 by 40, and I've had people argue with me every semester, oh, this printer is not set up for 30 by 40. Well, it's a separate paper roll. You're gonna have to trim the poster to fit exactly 30 by 40, and you will have to get help from the upstairs librarian or whoever's sitting at the desk to probably change out the paper roll. They usually do not have it set up for 30 by 40. might have to just end this show so that I can stop having to go through like this. So printing can be a pain in the butt. I will help you. When it comes to the poster presentations, which this doesn't really apply to spring this semester, but for everyone else, URI comes with the boards, the tripods, and the push pins. So you do not have to bring any equipment except for your poster itself. I feel like you can't see unless I expand it. This one's pretty good. This is back in Jackie's day when she was here, Dr. Lookie. Notice that the abstract is fairly detailed and it's a big block of text. One more time, I'm going back and I'm trying to pause it. It's got a big block of text and some good graphics, some visuals. In this, you'll notice, there's not a whole lot of training benefits for veterans photos or graphics. So they've added a couple pictures and then they've made a really eye-catching center section. I love this kind of stuff. Inside the history of GI Bill benefits, they've got this Excel table. I mean, this is varsity level stuff. This is good. So if you want to do like a timeline, or you have main points, or you have like a really good poster idea is pros and cons. So if you have a topic that has pros and cons, imagine CPDLC, for example. There can be pros like instant communication between and text communication between ATC and pilots, and the cons are there's delays and security issues, things like that. Problem statement, again, not completely necessary if you've got more of an abstract or you want to do an intro, but this is a good subheading here. And then the method, if this was see, they're doing a methodology, a historical case study. It's like a chronology. And then summary of their findings, this is a good one. And then recommendations are highlighted in blue. They're balancing the visual weight, not to use my art background here, but you've got a big, bold graphic picture. Then you've got this big center section that draws the eye. Over here, if this was just nothing but text, it wouldn't really lead the reader to read it. And then acknowledgements, again, is completely up to you, but they have a references section. Anything that you cite inside, say in the abstract, you have information from these sources. You do not have to do in-text citations like your paper. That is not necessary. In fact, I don't want that. You just put the stuff you used in the references section, and then inside each photo, you're going to do a photo credit, which is going to be the author or the photographer's last name, comma, year. And then in this case, they've used these two pictures from one of the sources they cited over here, or as an alternative, if you want to cite the entire thing inside the embedded picture, then go to tinyurl.com and make yourself a tiny URL and embed it into the picture. I can help you with that once you send me a draft. This one is interesting because Sarah Olmos did such a beautiful job on the background graphic. This is her draft. So I've actually intentionally put her draft, which was not her final, on the slideshow to show you that I had a problem with this big white stripe coming through the white text here. It's hard to read. So I had her, instead of all the white text and the background like this, I had her sort of gray it out a little bit more and then make this center block darker so you can read it. If at any point you get the text lost completely in the clutter behind it, you're going to have to either put a box around it or fix it by graying out the image just a little bit more. Why is it not letting me go back? I love these things. Anyway, we'll move on. Drone operators are not pilot. This one's a pretty one too. It's got a beautiful graphic in the background. I like how they've done the boxes. Problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, problem 4, like beautifully organized with an abstract up top and recommendations down on the bottom. Sources and acknowledgements, all included. By the way, don't forget to put your name and your mentor's name. I will usually be your mentor in this class, but for example, if you go to Professor Grow and ask her helicopter questions, or you go to Professor Gerald and ask him aerodynamics questions, or you heavily rely upon Dr. Betcher to help you with a poster, then add her or him to your acknowledgments section. In this case, this again is a draft. that I corrected. And the one thing I had her correct was her name, and my name here down at the bottom was really, really tiny. Whoops. Come on. Go back. Back. Okay. So I thought this was too tiny. I had her increase the size just a little bit to sort of match this font. But I really liked this sort of diagonal visual, beautiful picture in the background. You can see the HUD, and the way it's organized is really, really kind of cool. So anyway, carefully proofread these things for typos. I will also help you proofread these things for typos. In this case, there's actually still a couple of typos in here. And the way this, this format translated over into the slideshow I'm showing you didn't quite come up, but look at this text. The font didn't work with this format. Always make sure that's not going to happen before you print it out. We don't like burning trees in this class. Here's a good example of something I really liked. Audrey Baldwin did this one. There was really only one graphic for CPDLC. It's a hard one. So she instead did an eye-catching center section that has arrows. And I remember how painstaking this was for her, but it turned out really, really beautiful. And then the pros and cons on this side, and the sort of a conclusion down here. All right. This, Dr. Boettcher talks about the models and the advice and things like that. These links, they still work, and they will help you if you want to dig in and get really, really in depth with all this. It's up to you how deep you go, but the quick poster checklist is helpful. I wish I could zoom it for you a little bit more. What is the theme? Okay, how does the information support the theme? You don't want it to be just a haphazard hodgepodge of information with a bunch of bullets about nothing that no one can really understand. You want it to kind of stand alone. And then are my sentences properly punctuated? And that me as your mentor, I will help you out quite a bit with that. My name is H-I-G-H-T, not H-E-I-G-H-T, just so you know. I get that one every semester. And then make sure the visual design explains labels and figure. Don't just put a graph in and not have any explanation of what that is. Just a minor explanation will work. Now, mind you, a lot of this stuff is more prompts for you as you're talking to your audience, but you can see how much information goes on to these things. There's a lot of information. It's not just as simple as a couple bullet points. This is about what I expect here. And if you want me to send you examples via email, this one I can't share for whatever reason. It's not public there, but I can send you a lot of great examples of this. In fact, editable templates if you like. Or you can just get fancy on Publisher or PowerPoint, but those are the two main programs that we use to create these things. And ultimately, when you submit for a grade into Canvas, you'll be submitting a PDF. So you'll have to transform it into PDF to print and to submit. Questions, Andrew, before I quit recording?
I don't really have any questions. That summed up